reaching out to the rest of the community also. It's really good. PAS Bookkeeping and Tax Prep is open 7 days a week to ensure you get prompt, personalized, and professional service. Call 224-6875. 224-6875. Hi, I'm Phil Fleishman, owner of PAS Bookkeeping and Tax Prep, your affordable accounting alternative. Mention this ad and save 20% off last year's tax prep fees. Call us 224-6875. 224-6875. I'm your host, Phil Fleishman, and with me today, my guest is Anthony Moore. Anthony is with the Greater Charleston Empowerment Corporation.
Yes.
You know, Anthony's been on the show a couple times, but I'm going to let him take a moment and just tell you a little bit more about the Greater Charleston Empowerment Corporation. Yeah, Anthony?
All right, thank you, Phil. Yeah, the Greater Charleston Empowerment Corporation, it was established around 1994. Mm-hmm. It came about as part of what was called the Charleston Renewal Community. The Charleston Renewal Community is a federally designated area where tax incentives are provided firms to come in, create jobs, and etc. The organization started out with membership consisting of 19 neighborhoods. That's the geographical area.
Right, I remember. These are all the impoverished areas.
Yeah, they had to meet certain criteria as it related to HUD's level of poverty and etc. Since then, the organization expanded to 31 neighborhoods that meet those criteria. What we were looking at is those neighborhoods that are in most need in terms of jobs, economic development, infrastructure, and things of that type. The organization, we currently have several programs that we're operating. Mm-hmm. We have the annual scholarship program where we provide college seniors and those already in college with scholarships of $1,000, $5,000. We also have a pre-employment training program where we've established a job club. One of the main things we're really excited about, and I hope we can spend more time today talking about, is the Bank On program. This is a relatively new initiative that we have spearheaded in terms of coordinating the startup, and we're going to be operating the program.
Right. You know, really, that's the reason why I asked you onto the show today. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Recently, I've been reading more and more articles and seeing more and more taxpayers out there who have had a lot of problems with banks, a lot of NSF fees. I've had some people who come to my practice who have had issues with credit because they allow their banking information just to get way out of control. Mm-hmm. Recently, and I subscribe and I receive newsletters from the FDIC. Mm-hmm. And recently I've been reading quite a few articles where banks have been, they've been doing it wrong. They've changed the way in which they present and cash checks and debits and incurring more NSF fees for their clients. Now, these banks have come under a lot of scrutiny. And they now, a lot of them have class action lawsuits against them, and there are funds that have been put aside to help them recover some of those fees. But the problem really stems with education and having the people understand how the banks work and to create the relationships with the banks. Well, this Bank On Charleston program does just that. It teaches these people in your areas how to get along with a bank.
Well, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
To incur little or no fees whatsoever.
Yeah, well, you know, and that's absolutely right, because the whole idea behind the Bank On initiative is to bring together those 20,000 unbanked households in the Greater Charleston area and the 20,000 underbanked. So we have about 30,000 unbanked and underbanked households in the Charleston area that have no real relationship with a financial institution.
Right.
So our whole ideal is to provide the citizens with the tools and the knowledge they need to better manage their finances so that they can go to a bank and open an account. Whereby, folks say, well, why are you helping those big banks? They don't need any help. Why should we go and put our money in there? There are several reasons. It's safer. I mean, it's more safe than keeping cash, underneath the mattress.
Oh, I agree with you.
And plus, it provides a way for the future. Because in most cases, folks are going to need some sort of checking account, debit account, and if they have children, children go to college. If someday they want to get a loan for a car and etc., then this bank loan program is just targeted for them. It really is.
Well, credit and credit history is really just such a very difficult topic. It can get out of the hand very, very quickly, and it takes years and years to resolve. I have a very good friend of mine that is in the process of buying a home with his fiancee, and where he had financing, it was already set up. Now they're about 10 days away from closing, and all of a sudden the financing falls apart. Why? Because of credit. Not only credit for my friend, but also the lender actually ran out of money.
Oh, okay. Must not have been FDIC insured.
Well, FDIC insures the banks.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you hear about this. Let me explain that to you. But FDIC, it's a private corporation, but it operates under the Department of the Treasury. It's headquartered in Dallas, Texas. Now, what they do is they go out and they make sure that the banks are liquid, that they have the resources to give you your money back. Whenever a bank becomes not liquid, or they can't pay all the money back that they have in their bank, then the FDIC will come in and they'll audit them, and they'll determine if they can, they'll help them, and if they can't, then they'll find another bank to take over that bank. But you as a depositor, your money is insured. They guarantee up to $250,000 per person. Now, I don't know about you. I don't have $250,000. So in other words, if I have, or one of these people in one of your areas has $1,000 in the bank, and something catastrophic happens, their money's insured. They have their money back. It's that simple.
And the exciting part of this program is that the FDIC, they're a full partner with us in this project. They provided up to this point some technical assistance. They've been over and talked to us, made a presentation about their involvement in other bank-owned programs, and they came and made a presentation at our kickoff, and they agreed to provide us with technical assistance. So we're glad to have the FDIC and also the Federal Reserve. We've got the Federal Reserve in the loop as well.
So tell me now, for the bank on Charleston, you're going to have some seminars, am I correct?
Right. Now, as part of the process for someone to get involved with the bank on, let me give you a scenario. You have an individual who they're currently cashing checks. They're paying to have their check cashed. I always have to think about the guy who recently paid $900 to cash his income tax check.
Excuse me?
$900 to cash his income tax check. Now, it was a huge check, but that's the fee that he was charged in order to cash that. Those are the type of people we're targeting. We're targeting those, and we're targeting those folks who are underbanked. They might have a bank account, but they're incurring a lot of fees and things of that sort. We want to show them through our financial education workshop. So this person would come, they would go through our financial education class. We use what's called the Money Smart, FDIC Money Smart training.
I've seen the training. It's actually,
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, our organization, we're a member of the FAIC National Training Alliance, and I've been trained to present the Money Smart FDIC.
Right.
So a person comes through and they complete all 10 modules. We provide them with a certificate. Then they could go to one of our member banks. Now, this bank on Charleston, it was started back in, with our first meeting in May 2012.
Right.
Out of that grew some subcommittees like marketing and financial education.
Right.
And then from there, we kicked off actually April 9th, 2013. And as part of this, we had approximately 30 neighborhood and nonprofit and governmental entities, as well as we have currently 8 banks that participate with the Bank on Charleston.
Okay.
And these banks have developed some specific products that will meet the needs of that population that we're serving. Most of the banks already had products in place.
Right.
So, we looked at what was required in terms of bank on Charleston accounts and what the bank currently, had on their books in terms of products.
Right.
And then kind of match those up. Now, so the person goes through, he gets a list of banks that he chooses, he goes into the bank. The bank, they have trained their staff in terms of, what Bank On is, how to deal with the customers, what type of ID. Because some of the banks are allowing them to use not just standard ID. It might be something, if the person was coming over from a foreign country, they can have a driver's license. There, so other options. They're also looking at opening accounts with 0 down or very minimal down.
Right.
Some of the banks are looking at waiving non-sufficient funds for the first, bounce check. So all the banks aren't offering all the services.
Right.
There are some minimum requirements that Bank On requires that they are meeting in terms of ease of opening an account, reduced fees, and things of that sort. Well,
I've had a long history here with Anthony, and we've done a lot of different things. They have done, you've done so much more. I want to touch on a couple things, if I could, because I hope that what we're going to say here helps you. So let's start with tax seminars. Did you have any tax seminars this year for your...
No, we didn't. But what we typically do is we refer them to the VITA at the Urban League. And the United Way, they have some VITA prosperity centers with VITA sites. So people who are looking for that type of assistance, we know how to refer them. Matter of fact, right across the street from our office at the Human Services Commission, they offer VITA, tax preparation services. So, and then if they didn't want to do that, then of course there are plenty of private firms out there that do taxes.
Okay, and you never know, maybe this year you and I will do something to help some of these people.
Okay, good.
A free seminar or something to help them out.
Good.
What else are y'all working on downtown?
Well, we're currently working with several developers right now in terms of minority business development. There are several. First of all, there's a hotel that's going up on Spring and King Street.
Right.
And we're working with the developers in terms of finding minority contractors and women-owned firms to participate in the construction of this hotel. It's going to be a hotel and some retail shops.
Oh, nice.
And etc. It's good. It's really a schematic of the. It's a large firm out of Atlanta, Georgia. That the prime contractor. And so we've been working with them in terms of also the jobs that are going to be coming about. So what we want to do is have people ready those who are willing and want, ready for those jobs when the door opens.
It's funny you mention that. I had breakfast this morning with Wendell Gilliard. He's one of our representatives here in Charleston. Mm-hmm. And he had mentioned that when Boeing came into Charleston, our biggest problem was that we weren't ready for them because we didn't have a trained workforce here to fill their jobs immediately. And they actually had to go over to Trident Tech and put some courses in place to learn a trade. So I would love to see some job training before they even open the door so that they can walk in and just start working.
Right. We've been talking with Trident. We've been talking with Burke High School.
Right. They had a trade school for many years.
Yeah, for many years. We're actually, many in the community want them to bring that back because those are good skills. Somehow, our children and our population have been convinced that everyone needs to go to college. But everyone doesn't need to go to college, and some folks aren't suited for it, some are. So, but there are good paying jobs and the skills. We've trying to kick off a program as it relates to the culinary or it relates to the hospitality. Because, face it, Charleston is a huge hospitality industry here. Okay. And get folks trained and in the position where they can take advantage. And we're not talking about dishwashing jobs. Right. And sometimes it's where a person has to start. I remember one workshop we had, and we had a gentleman who worked at Holiday Inn. He started as a dishwasher. Now he's a general manager. So
that's very unusual to find someone who's in a job for that long nowadays. That's true. That's true. But he was a young guy, and he just stayed in there, went to school, and now he's I think he serves the district or something of that sort. Tell me if I'm wrong. As I recall, I think I saw an article about this, and we had talked about it once before. But you've been putting together contractors, small contractors, that can bid on big projects together as a whole.
Right, exactly.
So that they have more opportunities.
Yeah, joint ventures, that's something that we emphasize constantly with the contractors. On this particular project we're talking about, for example. Okay. We had a huge meeting. We had about 30 minority contractors there. The developers were there, the owners, everybody was there. They were laying out the project, talking about the type of work that would be available. But in a lot of cases, some of those guys couldn't handle that portion. They may not have the skill sets or the staff or even the financing. So we talked about several guys who have the same skill sets joining together. One weakness could be picked up by another person, and that way in joint venture. So the contractor's and the owner, they're pretty happy with that. They would like to really actually see that happen, and they're willing to even break down some of the parts of the jobs. So if they have drywall, instead of saying we want the whole drywall contract, we'll say we'll break it down per floor. That's just hypothetically. We'll break it down so that smaller guys can bid on smaller pieces of the project like that.
So the project's going well.
Yeah, they haven't broke ground, but they're ready. It's a go.
And it's set up so that they can come together on other projects.
Exactly.
And how many contractors are in that program now?
Well, at this meeting we had about 30 contractors.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you aren't kidding. I mean, guys are hungry. They're very hungry for work, and times are pretty tough, so they're coming out to see. The unfortunate part is many of them are discouraged because they come to meetings like this and nothing ever happens. Right. So that's where we're trying to play a role in keeping those two people connected together in terms of the application. Like we have applications at our office. If a subcontractor wants to get certified with this prime contractor, we can provide them with that.
I think, as I recall, I believe both the national and the state unemployment is somewhere around 7 or 8%. Now, I don't agree with the number because over the past 4 years, 5 years, so many people have dropped out of the workplace entirely. They have said, I'm close to retirement, I can't do this anymore, I don't want to do this anymore. They go on Social Security. We have people who were disabled, but were working. They were a vibrant part of the community. And it became so difficult that they've dropped out of the workforce and just gone back on the disability. And just so many people just have given up. As I was talking to one of our congressmen, I told him, 7 or 8% unemployment, that's great, I'm real happy, but for that 7 or 8% that are unemployed, it's 100%.
Right, for them that's 100%. And then if you throw African American unemployment in that, now let's double that to 14% or 15% unemployment. And if you look at African American youth, now we're talking about 29% unemployment. So, some jobs would, that is so crucial. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That is so crucial. It can solve so many problems. Let's take the youth. If they're working, if they have some way of being productive, there's less likely of getting in trouble.
In 1991, there was a survey. I believe it was by the Labor Department. It could have been by one of the other federal agencies, I don't know. But they said in 20 years that there will be this surplus of jobs in manufacturing and one or two other fields. But we never trained these people to fill these jobs.
Right.
So what happens? They move them all out of the country.
Right, right. There was just on NPR day before yesterday a big discussion about these, I forget what they call it, but it's a special visa or special something that they give to high-tech people, engineers and etc. And it's a sad commentary that we need to train our children in these areas.
There's no doubt about it, but it gets no press whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I looked at the news this morning, and what did I see? Okay? I saw hearings on Benghazi. I saw this guy in Cleveland who was, well, I mean, I don't think there's a word to describe what he is. I saw that Israel is supposedly, fighting with Syria a little bit. I saw a little bit about North Korea. I saw all these negative things.
Yes.
But, there's nothing in there that talks about, hey, listen, we really need to do this.
Right. How can we set this up such that our children coming through elementary and whatnot, that they're positioned when they get to high school and college to take advantage of these opportunities, these high-tech jobs. Because if we don't,
it's going to fall someplace else.
We're going to lose a generation.
Well, I mean,
may not put it that bad, but
I'm going to be a little more optimistic than that.
I know. But it's frustrating.
If you're unemployed right now, then just keep trying. Don't give up. Whoever tries the hardest will get the job. And never give up on your dreams, because if you can't dream about the future, then there's no ambition to get there.
Well, everything begins with a dream. It all begins. So the thought process. You've thought about it. You visualized it.
Right.
And that's part of that dream, and then build on it from there. So you're right. Never give up on your dreams. If you say you want to be an astronaut, then that's
no reason
what you
why you can't be an astronaut.
Exactly.
Just keep working. Keep
might be a little tougher for you than the next guy or next woman.
Just don't give up.
But don't give up.
Well, Anthony, we're running out of time today.
I know.
So what I want to do is allow you to be able to call Anthony or email Anthony, whatever it is. If you have any questions on any of the programs that we touched on today, go on to his website for the corporation and see what else is going on. Anthony, do me a favor. Tell everybody your phone number at the office, the email, and the web address.
Okay. Phone number at the office is 843-789-4690. That's 843-789-4690.
Okay.
Our email is gcecinc, that's INC, @gmail.com.
Okay.
So we can be reached either by phone or by email. My name is Anthony Moore, and I'll be glad to talk with anyone. Thank you, Mr.
And I'm going to guess the website.
www.gcecorp, that's .org. So that's www.gcecorp.org.
All right, and write it down. If you have any questions, feel free to email myself. I have Anthony's information.
Okay.
And of course, my email address is right here on the screen. It's phil@palmettoaccounting.com. Anthony, it's great to see you, man.
Good
like
to see
always.
you. Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, everybody, have a great week. It was great seeing you. Come back again next week. Take care, man.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Howard, and I am representing Charleston County Human Services Commission. I'm also a board member of the Greater Charleston Empowerment Corporation. We are thrilled with the collaboration that our agency has with the corporation and Bank on Charleston. This is such an important initiative because so many of the people that our agency serves come to us because they are not in financially stable situations. So anything that we can do to increase financial literacy, we are all on board with that. And we're so glad that the Greater Charleston Empowerment Corporation and Bank on Charleston are promoting financial literacy and financial stability in the Charleston area. So many of our residents are dealing with issues of financial instability, and they have different emergencies, and they need to come to our agency. So anything that we can do to support people becoming financially self-sufficient, then we know that it's going to be good for long-term poverty issues and combating that, and then also helping people to make sure that their families will be stable for generations to come. So, way to go, Bank on Charleston.
This program is produced in conjunction with Just Phil Educational Television Foundation. For more information on this episode, events, and seminars, or to make a donation, please visit us at www.jpetf.org or call 843-224-6875.